This is a repost just to see if the opinions have changed. Story 1. Sorry, I have to get home to my wife. This is a great way to exit any situation you no longer want to be involved in. Story 2. If you find a good partner, you will have someone to grow old with. When times get tough, they will stick by your side and help you through it. Story 3. I don't think I will ever be married, but there was a woman I wanted to marry because I wanted to proudly declare that she was mine, and I wanted to be the same for her for the rest of my life. Story 4. I find it romantic. I can call her my wife. She has my last name. There are tax benefits, of course, but that's not why we got married. We got married because we found it romantic and wanted to. The best relationships I know of in my circle belong to long-term married couples that never became complacent with each other. I love being married. Story 5. Marriage is a public and lifelong commitment to one another. Both partners need to understand this and commit to each other. I have been married for 24 years, and it is wonderful going through life with a partner who shares the same feelings. Together, we can handle anything, and as a team, we make each other better people. It may not be for everyone, but it certainly works well for us. Story 6. The financial benefits of having another income earner can be significant, especially when one partner loses their job. Parenting becomes easier with shared responsibilities. Additionally, having someone to talk to provides emotional support, which can be invaluable. Physical intimacy may also improve with a partner who understands your preferences. Story 7. It provides immediate credibility. People might think he cannot be that much of a failure if someone chose to marry him. Story 8. Well, I'm gay, so things are a little different for us, but I'll at least pitch in because prior to 2015, marriage and the benefits associated with it were legally prohibited for us. We faced significant challenges in burying our dead because we weren't considered family. Many less accepting families buried their gay relatives with no input from their spouses of many years. The phrase, "you're not married, so you have no say," is particularly stinging. We encountered difficulties in adopting and pursuing in vitro fertilization. Even when we could adopt, only one parent could be the legal guardian of the child. We could not visit our dying loved ones in hospitals as we weren't recognized as family. Our status as a legally recognized family unit was not acknowledged when crossing state lines. We could not list our spouses on our death certificates. We had no say in the medical decision-making for our incapacitated loved ones if they had an accident in a state that did not recognize our marital status. I can't say much about the tax and financial implications because that was one of the last things on my mind at that time. Marriage is not for everyone, and I absolutely believe that you can live in a happy relationship without the aspect of matrimony. However, for many people it does work, and it's a beautiful thing. Justice Kennedy had a poignant closing statement for Obergefell versus Hodges. No union is more profound than marriage, for it embodies the highest ideals of love, fidelity, devotion, sacrifice, and family. In forming a marital union, two people become something greater than they were. As some of the petitioners in these cases demonstrate, marriage embodies a love that may endure even past death. It would be a misunderstanding to say these individuals disrespect the idea of marriage. Their plea is that they do respect it so deeply that they seek to find its fulfillment for themselves. Their hope is not to be condemned to live in loneliness, excluded from one of civilization's oldest institutions. They ask for equal dignity in the eyes of the law. The Constitution grants them that right. Story 9. My wife can handle everything that needs to be done during office hours. She can buy my medication for me while I work. She understands me so well that she knows when something is wrong before I even notice and provides support. The banks approved a better loan for me because I am married. She is friends with my friends' wives, and they organize our outings while we are busy. My social life may thrive because of her. She is much more than just helpful, but you asked about my benefits, and these are a few. Story 10. Having someone who loves and cares about you is important. Having children is also significant. This all depends on finding a good partner. Story 11. Building a life and family with someone you love and respect is wonderful. I don't believe I would be a better person if I were single without children. Story 12. I feel this post assumes the man is the higher earner in the relationship and seems to ignore the non-legal benefits many people get married for. That said, men can also receive financial support in a divorce if they earn less. They can access their spouse's employer-provided medical benefits if they are better than their own. There are estate planning advantages to marriage, and filing taxes jointly can also be beneficial. For low-income individuals, there are family public assistance programs available. Additionally, marriage can provide visa options for international relationships. Story 13. I'm not sure, but the statistics of men marrying immediately after their wife dies, not from old age, are surprisingly high with hardly any gap. They must be benefiting from something. 25 months after the spouse's death, 61% of men and 19% of women were either remarried or involved in a new romance. Story 14. The marriage part is just a public ritual to show my closest friends that I am making a commitment, which I plan to do. It is a way to demonstrate that we belong to each other. Story 15. Benefits occur when you marry a woman who is truly unique, amazing, and worthwhile. In every other respect, marriage can be detrimental to men. Story 16. Ignoring the benefits of a long-term domestic relationship, which I presume are obvious, turning it into a marriage specifically has a few benefits in my opinion. It signifies us as a couple for life. To ourselves, neither of us is going to leave each other, and it now involves a legal process to do so. To others, there is a real social aspect to being married versus dating long-term. This makes a real difference in how people perceive our relationship. Personally, not getting married shows a lack of commitment to the person, though I'm sure some would disagree. If we were just dating, I would have significantly more assets than my wife, and she would feel less secure if we were to split up. That's simply not fair to her, nor would I be properly taking care of the mother of my children without legal protections in place for her. For many matters, we are considered the same person legally and can make important decisions for each other. This includes financial, medical, and matters relating to our children. It feels so much better saying my wife instead of my partner or my girlfriend. Story 17. Married men typically live longer. As a paramedic, I have seen many men with serious medical problems they wanted to ignore. However, their wives called an ambulance and insisted they get checked out. Story 18. I believe that if you are viewing marriage from a perspective of how it will benefit you or as a cost analysis, then you are not ready to get married or marriage may not be for you. Story 19. The benefits are with the Internal Revenue Service. Honestly, that's about where it ends for most men. Anything else you can obtain without involving the government. Women advocate strongly for formal legal marriage for two reasons. First, it is an important status symbol for them, and second, because it provides significant legal protection if the relationship does not work out. While it can go both ways, how many married stay-at-home dads do you know with no income? Story 20. A partner in life. A friend. Someone to love. It's not easy to make a marriage last, but life is so much better with a solid teammate. Also, raising a family is an incredible journey. Story 21. I was considering that my wife and I would remain unmarried, but then the topic of children arose. The first thing I said was that I would not father a child unless I was married to the mother. Now, here we are, married for 5 years with a child. Regarding parental rights, the tax benefits were originally intended to encourage family units, which is beneficial. It is also much easier when we both have a say in legal, medical, and financial matters. Story 22. Marriage is a symbol of commitment and devotion. I personally value symbols and traditions. Story 23. You gain many legal protections and entitlements regarding your partnership. If you are planning to spend your life with someone, it is beneficial to make them your legally recognized spouse. Story 24. My wife and I got married in less than 2 years. Our first date went so well that we discussed marriage, at least in general. It's hard to put into words, but when you know. I'd encourage everyone interested to read the book Blink by Malcolm Gladwell. I went into a grocery store, and about 2 hours later, I found myself discussing marriage with a woman I know is going to be my future wife. It was just surprising. My point is that marriage separates the contenders from the pretenders. Story 25. These are the most significant benefits I can think of. Taking a wedding vow is a serious matter, and nothing rivals it in terms of displaying commitment. If you believe in God, then your wedding vows are even more serious, as God witnesses them. You and your partner committing to one another in this way can elevate your relationship. Marriage offers financial benefits that are not available to unmarried couples. For instance, one spouse's tax allowance can be essentially gifted to the other. Additionally, there is much less concern about taxation on money gifted or inherited from one spouse to the other. If you are not married, your partner is typically not legally recognized as family. Even if I were with my girlfriend for 45 years, if I were to be hospitalized and placed on life support, she would have limited authority to make decisions regarding my well-being and may not even be allowed to visit me. This is not the case for a husband or wife. Studies have consistently shown that, all else being equal, children generally perform better in school and enjoy a better quality of life when raised by a married mother and father. This remains true even if there are arguments at home, compared to children of divorced or never married parents. Story 26. There is significant value in traditional family structures, which is why many people have chosen that path. Story 27. Firstly, children need a loving, stable foundation where they know they are loved. Secondly, you must provide that same foundation to each other. My wife and I are allies in everything we do, combining our complementary skill sets to make up for each other's deficiencies. We take our vows seriously. We made a public declaration before our friends, families, and God. We reached that decision deliberately, after much consideration and discussion, getting to know each other, and exploring each other's core beliefs about life, love, and family. I know that some people break vows, just as I know that some use God's name to justify abominable behavior. However, I cannot understand how some can claim that making a promise with earnest intent does not transform you. The institution of marriage carries significant weight. My parents are still married, and I promised myself that I would never get a divorce. This commitment forced me to choose my partner with great care, and I found a wonderful one. Story 28. If you marry the right person, you have someone to share your life with. Someone who offers help and shares in your ups and downs. You would do the same for them. Additionally, there is more financial and time flexibility, making it easier to take care of pets with two people. You have a partner with whom you can be emotionally and physically intimate without feeling alone. Story 29. To be brutally honest, my ex put me off marriage for life. I think marriage is a trap for men with few benefits to me. Am I projecting or what? Think about it, guys. A girl apparently starts planning her wedding from her early teens, but guys don't give it a thought because it has a very different meaning for us compared to women. I remember a long time ago, as a boy, working part-time in a hardware shop for an older couple. The man would often get annoyed with his domineering wife and would grumble, "Women are only good for two things: cooking meals and cleaning the house." I vividly remember that, and now I actually appreciate it. Story 30. If we are discussing traditional marriage structures and dynamics, we all understand what both men and women might receive from that. Men typically provide the income, while women provide the home and raise the children. Personally, I believe men benefit the most from traditional marriage dynamics, but I don't want to debate that. In more modern and progressive relationship structures and marriages, it is harder to determine if any particular gender receives unique benefits because both parties should be capable of providing a range of benefits for their partner and contributing to the relationship and home in equal measure. They may still have certain strengths they are uniquely suited to provide, but it's less about tradition and more about individual skills in various aspects of a relationship. For example, I don't earn a lot of money myself, but I have inherited quite a bit from family members who have passed away, so I can provide a home even if I might not be the highest earner in the household. If a partner and I choose to have children someday, it might make sense for me to be the one staying home after the first few months because my partner could have a higher earning potential. In that scenario, I would benefit from my partner's career and hard work, which would help provide resources for the home and allow me to feel secure in being the primary caregiver for our child or children. Ultimately, in a more equitable modern marriage, what anyone might benefit from will be more unique to who they are and who their partner is, and that is less determined by gender than it used to be. Personally, this is ideal for me. I appreciate it. There are things I would want in a relationship that I find challenging to attain on my own, and there are things I can provide as a partner that would be greatly appreciated in a relationship with the right person. However, this makes finding those partnerships more difficult because the rules are less standardized. Story 31. If you have a heart attack or a stroke, they will find you and call an ambulance. If it happens and you are on your own, you may be in a difficult situation. Story 32. My perspective after 25 years with an amazing woman is that you join, multiply, and build the life you both want. Each contributes for the greater good. Balanced strengths and weaknesses have resulted in a beautiful outcome. Story 33. I wake up every day with my best friend. After 35 years, sometimes we bicker, but there is one person on this planet who I know has my back no matter what. Story 34. It's not so much that marrying the right woman isn't a great thing. It's that marrying the wrong woman is a life-destroying mistake. Divorce in the United States completely devastates men, especially if there are children involved. Story 35. She becomes your next of kin for power of attorney and inheritance. She changes her last name to yours, allowing for the sharing of property. There is spousal privilege and extra protection for her in the case of pregnancy. Many places recognize common law marriages, so you cannot avoid marriage law simply because you did not formally get married. Story 36. Married men live longer. Raising children is easier when married. Dating and constantly trying to impress new people is more tedious than being married. Story 37. A life partner means doing life together, but this only applies if she fulfills the role well. They would be managing things together. On the other hand, if she is strongly feminist, socially progressive, or intensely corporate, it may not be enjoyable. Consider moving on. Story 38. I like the ceremonial aspect and want to ensure that our future children have something to inherit in case anything happens or someone needs to care for them. I also consider the idea of changing my name, but I still think about how much I like it or not. Story 39. I am neither pro nor anti-marriage, but convenience and stability are two concepts that come to mind. The convenience of having companionship readily available when desired and the stability of maintaining one household instead of juggling two. Other than that, marriage is not really necessary, but if you choose to get married, definitely consider signing a prenuptial agreement. Story 40. There is a greater chance that someone will be at home at the end of the day to snuggle with and give a kiss to. Story 41. It's a commitment to a person to build a life together. It serves as a foundation for a family, shared values, and shared equity. It is a promise that, for better or worse, neither of us is leaving. Financially, our government has its challenges, but that's a separate issue. I don't think I would be comfortable building the family I envision outside of the institution of marriage. It's difficult to sacrifice everything for someone who seems uncertain. Story 42. Being married is not a cost-benefit analysis. It is about committing to a partner for life. It involves having someone with similar goals, someone to talk to, and someone special to share everything with. Story 43. I'm starting to wonder about that myself. At first, it was about making a joyous commitment to the woman I loved, but it has felt one-sided for too long. Story 44. I haven't seen this yet, but one benefit is that it is easier for me to maintain platonic friendships with women. There is no question about my motives, and it allows a measure of trust, which is crucial for meaningful friendships. Story 45. Disclaimer. Not a man. I was wondering about the opposite perspective. What are the benefits for a woman? Statistically, women perform most of the housework, childcare, and emotional labor. Disproportionately, women handle cleaning, cooking, lunch packing, appointment scheduling, bill paying, household management, laundry, and ironing. Feels relentless. Statistically, married men tend to live longer and are happier, while married women often have shorter lifespans compared to unmarried women, largely due to stress. Therefore, there are general household benefits for men, as well as emotional support, and of course, women bear and raise their children. Story 46. The only real benefits of marriage are the legal aspects. You can have everything else without being married. You can have physical and emotional connections without a formal agreement. Marriage primarily demonstrates to others that you are committed to each other. Honestly, it seems that most people stop putting in effort after they get married. Story 47. The only benefit of marrying a woman, if you are straight, is intimacy. Besides that, living with a man would be much easier. Story 48. If you are gay, you can pretend you are not. There are no benefits that exclusively benefit men. All benefits are only for women. Story 49. Tax benefits, discounts, and, if it's the right person, a lifelong partner in everything. It's well worth it. Just make sure to get to know your partner thoroughly. I recommend a prenuptial agreement to protect both of you in case things go wrong, as it also simplifies divorce if it becomes necessary. Story 50. For us, the benefits are largely financial and social. We live in a region known for its strong religious values, and I will let you infer the primary social aspects from that. Financially, it offers a tax advantage, and we secured a much better insurance arrangement than we could have obtained otherwise, among other benefits. I am not particularly invested in the idea of traditional marriage, and I am not fond of weddings either. We chose to skip it. However, it required little investment, brought benefits, and I was committed to this long-term regardless. Story 51. Legally and for taxes, if you want to have children, it makes a lot of sense. If you intend to be a child-free couple, there likely isn't a real point, other than showing that you are committed enough to the person to risk breaking up, which can be a significant hassle. Story 52. Other than tax reasons, there is no benefit to the man. Men stand to lose far more than women. Even if a woman cheats, the man will lose in the divorce. Story 53. Unless she is your financial equal, do not proceed. Emotions change, but money changes people, and men usually lose. Story 54. You are entering into a contract with someone who will be financially rewarded for breaking it. It is a concerning situation designed to harm individuals. Story 55. Financial. You have double the income in the household. However, you also have double the expenses, likely a bit more. As long as the income offsets the costs, you still have more money overall. Relational. It is nice to have someone to talk to and do things with anytime you want. Feel like a hug? Hug her. Feel aroused? Intimacy can be enjoyable. Need to vent? You have someone to confide in. Social, for better or worse, there tends to be a social validation associated with getting married. Others perceive you as someone who can attract a partner, so you must have value. You can avoid the annoying questions from relatives during holidays, such as, when are you going to find a partner? Story 56. When my alarm goes off and I spend the day with her, I find myself waiting for it to go off again, but it doesn't. There are obviously stressful times, but I want to do everything in my power to keep this dream alive for both of us. We share a strong connection, almost as if we have the same thoughts. It feels like I'm in a partnership with a smarter version of myself who expresses what I'm thinking in a better, faster, and more articulate way. Story 57. I was posting in a debate subreddit a few days ago, and I did some research. Married individuals are generally happier than single individuals. Married individuals in long-term relationships experience less stress. Married people have the lowest suicide rate of any group. Story 58. In my religion and culture, it is essential for me to get married, as not doing so is considered a spiritual demerit. I understand the practical concerns associated with marriage, such as divorce and custody laws, and these issues are certainly important. However, I do not intend to neglect my cultural and religious obligations because of them. Story 59. The tax break and the amount you can roll over tax-free on real estate profits have doubled. That's it unless you can find a financial supporter. Story 60. It may seem a bit odd, but having the right to see your spouse if they are seriously injured and being able to make medical decisions when they are incapacitated is important. The same applies in reverse. This should be formalized with a power of attorney. Story 61. I thought it was directed to a man at first. Having a lifelong best friend with the goal of improving together. Story 62. If the woman is wealthier, there are significant economic advantages. If her wealth is comparable, there are tax benefits for both parties. If she is considerably less wealthy, it poses an economic risk. There are some advantages regarding inheritance and privileges in certain situations, such as hospital visits. That's all. Story 63. You feel like Andy Dufresne sliding out of the sewage pipe when it breaks down and you finally leave. Story 64. Social life. I probably wouldn't have much of a social life without my wife. I tend to enjoy solitary activities. Most of the people I consider friends and see regularly, excluding family, I have met through her. Sex. It's very convenient not having to look for sexual partners or navigate the complexities of modern dating. Women may not understand, but there is a lot of security in knowing that you are not likely to go without sex for any significant amount of time. Yes, it's that important. Money. I am the primary earner, but we both work, which helps with living expenses and allows for more discretionary spending. However, I cannot, in good conscience, spend freely as if I were single. I am accountable to her. The upside is that I am not spending all my money on car, motorbike, boat parts, and guitar equipment like I otherwise would. Children, obviously, I wouldn't have my daughter, although I understand that marriage isn't a prerequisite for having children. However, the relationship and arrangement with my daughter would not be nearly as strong without our partnership. Story 65. There are fewer things I have to worry about day to day, and if I ever want to do something, I always have someone who is willing to do it with me. Story 66. You live with someone who is your equal in competence, courtesy, and consideration, whose insights on life and people are fascinating and deeply comforting. Story 67. High risk, high reward. If you marry the wrong person, it will be a miserable experience for you. However, if you marry the right person, you will have your partner in crime for the rest of your life. Story 68. The reason for marriage often relates to companionship and the desire to find a partner who complements you. When you love someone, it can feel as profound as loving yourself. A direct benefit for me was the company. As an only child, like my wife, we had plenty of time alone. We love being together because we feel we missed out on the sibling experience that brothers and sisters share, along with the challenges our families put us through as children. Story 69. Think of a wife as an anchor. It prevents you from drifting out to sea and having fun, but it also keeps you grounded during a storm. You trade freedom for security. Story 70. There are many practical reasons for life insurance for spouses, certain protections and access for retirement incomes and vehicles, joint filing, dual income households, and of course you can have children. There are other considerations as well. Whether marriage as a legal action is necessary isn't exactly clear in each case, but it is generally accepted with marriage. I do not hold a dramatic prejudice against the concept of marriage, as if it is some sacrilegious action that must not be considered. It is an entirely voluntary, as long as we can keep aggressive individuals from opposing it, functional legal binding of individuals that has benefits and risks depending on the relationship. Essentially, if you feel insecure about the idea of marriage, just don't get married. If you do and your spouse ends up behaving poorly, you should reflect on your decision-making skills before making adult decisions. Story 71. If you find a good life partner, your life changes entirely for the better. You grow together and support each other through ups and downs, enjoying many benefits. Story 72. Not living in sin would likely be important for those who are religious. There are tax advantages. It makes handling death and hospitalizations easier and requires less pre-planning and paperwork. Story 73. You don't need to pick up your clothes from the chair and bed. She will yell at you, but she will gradually do it. Story 74. Sexual release. Improving the feminine side of my psyche. Companionship. Validation. A source of pride when I help her achieve something. Improving my social skills. An alternative perspective on life. Cuddles. Story 75. Some tax benefits. Honestly, I never cared. I could spend the rest of my life with my boyfriend or girlfriend as long as we were together. We have been married for over 10 years now, and aside from the wedding being amazing, the only reason for me was that it was what she wanted and it made her happy. Story 76. In today's world with no-fault divorce, I can't think of any benefits of marriage that you wouldn't get from a long-term partnership. Nowadays, it's essentially a financial contract where the woman benefits greatly. Story 77. Marriage is an ideal framework for raising children. It serves as a mechanism for both spouses to learn about themselves and each other, making them better individuals while providing a support system to navigate life's ups and downs. Unfortunately, in the West, women are often incentivized to break the marriage contract. Like any contract where one party benefits from breaking it, this undermines many of the advantages of marriage. Story 78. Here's a choice. Would you rather share your life with a soulmate or be alone? After 45 years, I'm extremely grateful. Story 79. There will come a time when the security of knowing that there is a woman at home waiting for you means a lot. Story 80. I have been grappling with this myself lately. My most recent ex made life more difficult in several different ways, and I am doing a lot better on my own now. To be honest, I was unfocused and directionless before our time together. After years of managing a household and getting things done despite her being unhelpful, I find I have more concrete goals now and am less troubled by setbacks. Lately, I find I need support, the kind friends and a support network could offer, but I am not sure exactly why I would need a wife. I am just writing it off as something that is not a priority for now. Story 81. According to the Geneva Convention, every prisoner must have one hot meal per day. However, if you make the right choices and are a decent person with good hygiene, you may find a partner for life to help you with all the challenges you might face. Story 82. In the UK, there are financial benefits such as marriage allowance and increased allowances for inheritance in the event of a death. Romance is not dead. Story 83. Unconditional love, support, and acceptance. Someone to share activities with and someone to laugh at my jokes. Story 84. Well, I'm not married and have been single forever. I'd say that having a partner in life is the biggest benefit. Going it alone is harder, I think. Story 85. I remember seeing this post before, and there were very few people who could actually name a benefit of getting legally married that wasn't also a benefit of being in a long-term committed relationship. It seems everyone in this thread is doing the same. Story 86. Honestly, I think it poses a greater risk for men than for women, generally speaking. I am not a fan of the risks these days. I respect the sanctity of marriage, just not the way it is approached now. Story 87. Marriage and having children are effective ways to focus on our priorities. There is no longer the uncertainty of, I don't know what to do in life, because you have specific responsibilities that require your attention. Story 88. 95% of the answers are similar for a long-term girlfriend. What are the benefits that come exclusively with marriage? Genuinely, most of these answers are not persuasive. If I do not plan on having any children, we have separate finances, and we are not religious, what benefits are afforded to us if we marry? Story 89. It creates stability, and a healthy marriage is the ideal environment to raise children. As a Christian, marriage serves the purpose of glorifying God and demonstrates the love, faithfulness, and protection present in the relationship that God desires with all people. I understand there are concerns men have today regarding marriages ending in divorce, resulting in loss of assets and dignity. From my viewpoint, a God-centered marriage can help avoid these issues. A Christian marriage is a covenant, essentially a contract with God, which should never be broken. Vows are taken seriously in sickness and in health. Divorce is recognized in Christianity only when this covenant is broken, such as in cases of abuse or adultery. Story 90. There isn't a single benefit that cannot be obtained without marrying. Even tax filing, which is changing, can be managed without marriage. Story 91. For me, it is someone I can trust implicitly. We have each other's backs because we know we succeed if the other succeeds. You can trust friends and other family, but nothing compares to the trust you have with someone you share a life with. At least this is true in a good marriage where both partners have the same viewpoint. Story 92. If you want anything beyond a basic existence, such as a small apartment, video games, and a paycheck that covers the bills, having two incomes and two sets of hands makes achieving middle or upper class comfort much easier. If I can't run an errand, my partner can. If one of us is busy with work, The other can cook or do the chores. If I have something I want to discuss, I have someone to listen instead of typing out rants online. If I don't feel like going out, there is someone to spend time with. Life is a two-player game. Story 93. To create a family and a home, and to have the courage to risk disaster. You know that growing up and building something with someone is certainly not boring. Story 94. Taxes and possibly insurance. Parental rights. Some states have a clause that an unwed mother automatically has full guardian rights. Even if your name is on the birth certificate, you have to apply for your rights. Beyond that, nothing. I don't mind having a celebration and exchanging rings and vows, but I will not sign a legal document. Involving the government would make a breakup even messier than it needs to be, should one occur. Story 95. It is a unique way to commit to a woman. One needs to have a good partner first. Otherwise, there can be heartache, pain, cost, and perhaps uncomfortable interactions with the criminal justice system. Story 96. Cons. I risk losing everything in a divorce. I'm not married yet, but who knows what the future holds. Pros. I don't get disowned if my ultra-conservative Christian family finds out I have been in a relationship with my girlfriend. It is a difficult choice between losing my family or losing what I have worked hard to earn. It all depends on that little piece of paper. Story 97. If you can build me a time machine, I would go back in time and be single forever. What was I thinking? Story 98. Benefits have disappeared, but risks have increased significantly. You never know which woman is just looking for a misguided partner to divorce and live off alimony until the next unsuspecting individual. Story 99. If she is correct, then moral support, kindness, and love are valuable. However, the main advantage lies in social reasons. In this conservative country, one must conform to societal norms in order to appear normal and gain the various social benefits of fitting in. Story 100. Marriage is an important part of getting ahead. It signals to others that you are stable and committed. When people see a wedding ring, they may assume that you have the capacity for long-term relationships and financial stability. Additionally, it suggests to potential partners that you have desirable qualities. Story 101. Second income. Someone to handle the overwhelming majority of domestic chores and organization, and various tax benefits. Story 102. If you view marriage from a perspective of personal benefit, it is already doomed to fail. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.